If you've been watching my streams over the past week, you will have noticed that they have gotten remarkably better when it comes to quality. And one of the main reasons for that is the Elgato Cam Link. Elgato kindly had a meeting with them and they kindly handed this over to me. I was not expecting it. And this is their brand new Cam Link 4K. Obviously there was one before this. But for South Africans, if you're watching this from South Africa, because most of you are, this is a big deal. Elgato haven't had presence here for a very long time, and when they did, it was through third party. This is the first time that they are locally available in South Africa. It's a big deal because we don't have to pay extortionate import duties. The products are available now because they were bought up by Corsair, and Corsair have distributors here and they are now distributing it. So this is a very exciting time if you are a South African streamer, because there's going to be a whole bunch of new content available throughout the country. Of course, we've had Ava Media for a while and I've done a lot of those products before, but some people are brand loyal. I know a lot of people have been importing a lot of the stuff or going overseas and fetching a lot of Elgato products, and now they're here. The Cam Link 4K though, this is the first one in the country, by the way, that I'm holding right now in my hands, and it's been amazing. Here's a couple of the features. What makes the Cam Link 4K so impressive is that it's an HDMI to USB converter. What it does, it takes an HDMI signal from whatever device you're pushing out and turns it into a USB webcam signal, which is great for many reasons. I've had problems in the past trying to mix different kinds of recording hardware together. Sometimes they just steal each other's codecs and OBS doesn't know what to do, which hardware to use in OBS. So if you plug a Elgato game capture in with a Ava Media game capture, only one of them will work, both of them will work. It's hijacking the same codecs. But when you have converted the signal into a webcam signal, then it will work with everything. And it kind of expands the reach of this kind of hardware outside of the realm of live streaming. Of course, live streaming is important. And of course, having different cameras in your kit and being used as a webcam is very exciting. But the use case for this can go a lot further. It can go all the way through to conference centers. If you are a production studio and you're having meetings with clients and you want to show them how great your quality is, this is a great way to do that. Alright, you have one of these Cam Links in the studio 4K, you can do a full-on Skype call in 4K with like a red. Speaking of cameras, not every camera is compatible. Remember, it's taking an HDMI signal feed, right? And converting that into a webcam. So anything that is HDMI coming out of your webcam, whatever that's on that feed will be displayed on the webcam signal through the 4K. So if you've got like a user interface on your camera, especially I'm shooting now on a Canon 70D on this one, there's no way of getting rid of that UI on the HDMI signal on the 70D as far as I know. So I have a Canon Vixia HF-R700 that I bought abroad. There is a local version of it. I bought this abroad because I was at E3 one year and I went to a store and they had it there for like on special. So I was like, sweet, I'll pick one up. And that's kind of my go-to camera. What camera you use is extremely important. There are obviously a couple of benefits. If you've got really fancy lenses that you've bought for your DSLRs or your mirrorless cameras, then it's going to make your overall production look a lot better, a lot more professional. Imagine streaming with a 50mm lens or with a Pancake 24 if you've got a proper DSLR. That's all good, but you are limited to the lifespan of the battery. So if you've got a camera that has that shuts down after a certain period of time, especially a lot of DSLRs do that to protect the shutter, you might want to get a battery pack that keeps your camera on. Or in my case, I'm using the Vixia, and the Vixia has a power source that plugs in because it's a camcorder. I think the best use case for these are camcorders. It looks a lot better. They support 60 FPS because I'm streaming that. The picture quality looks extremely clean and crisp. And if you are having problems, if you bought this and you're watching this video because you are having problems with the way the color looks, make sure that you can change the white balance. Don't leave it on auto white balance because that's the one big problem that I have. Right now, it looks crisp and clean. That's the Cam Link in a shell. The Cam Link 4K is newer than the original Cam Link. This time around, as the name suggests, you can stream in 4K. It's only 4K 30 FPS or 1080p 60 FPS. I haven't done any extensive tests on the bitrate quality, but it stands to logic, and a lot of you guys, just let me know in the comments if you've discovered anything, if you've got an Elgato Cam Link 4K, what your experiences are. But because it's capturing at a higher resolution to begin with, the bitrate that it can handle is a lot better. And and the downscaling within OBS should look clearer. I'm using it for my face cam, so it's not that big a deal for me. That's why I haven't really tried it. But getting 1080p 60 is what I want to live stream, and the way it looks is spectacular. I come from a television background. We're still streaming in 720p upscaled on live television. That's what the signal that we're putting out to TV broadcasters. What are we doing in 2018? It makes no sense. Anything that you see on television that is HD, it's 720p upscaled to 1080p. What are they doing? So it's better than television quality. It's worth noting that the signal that you're getting is like 1-to-1. It is not delayed like some game capture devices have like a 500 millisecond delay. It is 1-to-1, which is great. So what you see is what you get. So I've just done some research, and it looks as if the EOS 70D, the guy I'm using here, has a clean HDMI signal, which I'm ecstatic about. I think we should put that to the test in a bit. So I'll do some tests at the end of this video that show you what the different outputs look like, because that is crazy. If you are concerned about your kit being compatible with the Cam Link, I'm going to include a link in the description to a list that Elgato have specified that works with the Cam Link, and they have a little bit of warning signs and some products that just don't work at all, so that you can make the call yourself. There are a couple of reasons why you'd want to get a Cam Link over an existing webcam. So I have a couple of Logitech C920s. Those are problematic. Every time I boot up OBS, sometimes they don't detect. Sometimes I've got to re-add them as a source. Other times, more often than not, the white balance is off. A lot of the settings that I pre-put in don't work. Logitech has some serious problems when it comes to including the C920 in as a webcam, as a consistent webcam in OBS. It works. If you've got a C920, it's great. You're just gonna have to spend a lot of time just fixing it before you go and live stream, which is pretty annoying. And the signal isn't as clear, especially if you aren't using green screen. If you have a background like the one I've got over here, it can get quite annoying. So the Cam Link is something you get if you want it to look a little bit more professional. I do have another webcam. It's the AverMedia 4K UHD 510. I'm going to be doing a separate video on that. That is a lot more expensive than the Cam Link, and it is probably the ultimate webcam for live streaming. You'll see all the specs in that video. But the Cam Link is significantly cheaper than the AverMedia webcam. The expensive part of getting the Cam Link is having the gear, and if you are a vlogger or a content creator that has kit already, the Cam Link is something that you really need to have inside your setup, especially if you guys are doing any form of new media. If you're an agency or a production house, probably good to have a couple of these. This is the Canon 70D directly plugged into the Cam Link 4K. As you can see, we got some problems right here. First up, it's the UI. It's all over the show. Secondly, it's this interlacing. The interlacing could quite possibly be fixed if you change the frame rate and a bunch of other settings. But the real way to fix this guy is to use a piece of software that you can load onto your Canon device called Magic Lantern. I do not endorse installing Magic Lantern. It can destroy the warranty on your camera. And again, the 70D is not designed to be a full camera that's supposed to be switched on for long periods of time. I stream for 4 or 5 hours. That's a long period of time. It is a lot to put this thing through. You can buy a battery adapter, and I would recommend maybe doing this if you've got a second camera. So if this is like a spare camera that you got at home, and you've got a 5D that you are shooting with on site, if you are a producer, a content producer, and you want to make sure that you've got a camera working. I am not going to do it because the 70D is my main camera. And again, I think the quality, the visual quality is a lot better on a camcorder, and I'll let you see what that looks like in a bit. Lowering this to 24 frames a second is probably what a lot of filmmakers will want to do anyway. They want to make sure that the podcast that they are streaming or that they're using recording direct. I'm recording this directly to the computer, which is great. That is a great way to produce content, and it's the most efficient way to do it. And if I could do it all the time, I would, but I would need to probably get a newer camera, or a camera that actually supports a clean HDMI signal going out of the actual rig. So that's a little disappointing. I'm going to be doing some research. If you've got any questions, or if you've got any insights that you'd like to add to the discussion, check the comments below. In the meantime, let's check out the camcorder. Alright, so here we go. Oh, that's the UI that I was talking about. Bam! See, As you can see, this is a clean HDMI feed that comes straight out of the camera, stock standard. There are some settings you have to change in order to get it. It's pretty straightforward, and make sure that you get your white balance down right. But have a look at this. This is a lot cleaner. This is a lot more beautiful, and I highly recommend it. The reason this is like kind of going invisible is because I have a filter on for chroma key. I'm gonna switch that off. There we go. As you can see, that looks a lot fresher, a lot cleaner. To be really honest with you, this is a better quality than a lot of television cameras that you get out there in television studios. Sorry, I might be bumping the tables, so the camera's getting a bit wonky. The limitations of the camcorder obviously are this frame isn't as wide. I've got the cheapest one that Canon have got. Whatever. It's the Canon Vixia HF R700. That's the main one. I'm using this with a ring light, both of these by the way, so you can get a good idea. It's inside the ring light, and it's the cheapest camcorder that they've got, which is great. Like there's no de-interlacing. This is full 60 FPS. There's no messing around. I'm very proud of this feed. And then as you can see, I use it predominantly for green screen. Let me switch on that chroma key for you again and show you what the Elgato green screen does. Bam! So that's the Elgato green screen, and as you can see, I can tweak it a bit more to get my colors right, but I'm not doing that right now. Who cares? You can make it look a bit better. My live streams, it does look better when I've got everything set up properly, but it looks clear. It looks good, and I'm very proud of this. Really proud of this feed. It really kicks a Logitech C920 in the butt. I mean, this is crazy. And if I had a couple of these cameras with a couple of cam links, we could do like a really kick-ass podcast. So let me know in the comments below if you would like to see, if you watch something like that, like to see something like that. And behind me, the stuff that I'm recording right now, I'm actually recording the audio for this piece behind me, so that's all the levels that are happening over there. So yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed. Again, make sure your camera is compatible with the device, or that there's something you can do to fix it. Know your limitations with your hardware. It would be very disheartening to buy the Cam Link 4K and know that it's not working. But this is 1080p 60 FPS. We could upscale it to 4K, which would look amazing. But for most South Africans streaming, 1080p 60 is what we would like to be getting. And this is crunching the bitrate, and it looks super clean and smooth. I need to moisturize, guys. I'm just changing the white balance. My face looks a little bit like pink. It's probably my hair. Overall, I'm extraordinarily impressed. Again, just want to say a big thank you to Elgato for giving me the unit. I've wanted to pick up one of them when I was in the UK recently, and I just didn't. But it's been great to play around with them. I am thinking of getting a couple more, just because it would be great to have a couple of cameras set up, or if we want to do a podcast or something, I think it would be really cool. Let me know in the description if you think that that's something that you'd be interested in watching. And if you are a live streamer or a content creator or a production house and you are considering getting the Cam Link, if you've got any questions, let me know down below. I'm trying to answer as many of you guys as possible. I think this is a very exciting time in South African content production, because we didn't have Elgato in the country until now, and it's kicking off, and this is a big deal. I'll see you guys in another video. High five, stranger.